Neely. So, May 1st, in my hometown, New York City, 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who was a homeless subway
Performer.
entertainer,
Hmm.
drifter, if you will, was suffocated after being choked by a 24-year-old Marine named Daniel Penny, supposedly for 15 minutes. And this led to his death. Um, a few others helped to hold him down. And anyone who's from New York, like I am, knows that the F train is a very popular train. I actually used to take that train to school every morning. I used to get off at 21st and Queensbridge, so I know the F train very well. Supposedly, what happened was that, at least according to reports, he got on the train. He mentioned to the passengers that he was hungry,
Hmm.
wanted food, and that he will hurt anyone on this train because he wasn't afraid of going to jail or being arrested. I'm going to stop right here. What do you have to say about Jordan's death?
Um, it's disturbing, very disturbing. They say he's very popular on that train, so people are very familiar with him. I think it shows how desperate people are because they are hungry or they just want something and they can't get it due to economic status they are in. It's hurtful, but one thing I know is that when it comes to black and brown individuals who are suffering mental health, I don't really know, but it seems like it. People tend to be harsher on them, don't give them the benefit of doubt. Like it's we all say he freedom of speech, right? He's not having a weapon. He's just using his mouth and saying this, though it can sometimes come out violent. And he just wanted something, and he felt like this was possibly the only way he could get the help he needs. Sadly, very sadly, it cost him his life, which is unfortunate. And one thing I have noticed lately when it comes to black and brown people who are not in a good mental space, people tend to be harsher on them and not giving them the benefit of doubt. Like a woman stole something from the store. We know that stores have insurance on it. It was like a Walmart or Walmart, Macy's, something like that. But this white individual took upon him to be a good Samaritan and like beat this woman down over some clothes. It was she causing any harm to anyone? No. Same thing with this person on the train, Jordan Neely. Was he causing any harm that it required you to take him down? In my opinion, from hearing the story, I say no. And it's sad that it cost him his life.
Mm. Jane, I'm so glad that you highlighted the mental health situation, and the theme that plays a role in this story of Jordan Neely. Um, Now, I'm going to speak from a New Yorker's point of view. Now, I don't live in New York anymore. I'm actually going tomorrow to visit. Um, but I grew up in New York, was raised there. I know the city very well. And it seems like, well, the subway has always been an interesting place. A lot of activity happens in the subway, not always good. I mean, sometimes you can go down there, you find, people performing, some very talented performers. Um, Matter of fact, I think that's how some famous people who now are known for their singing or musicianship, how they were found, and became viral. However, since COVID, since 2020, the crime across, I mean, the U.S. has increased, but especially in New York City and especially in the subway, where there have been people who, have been assaulted randomly, by people who drift in subway, other crimes that have happened. And so when we look at this situation of Jordan Neely, a lot of people, especially if you're from New York, a lot of people look at it as, oh, well, here, Jordan Neely was homeless and was berating passengers for food and became angrily passionate about getting food and help. And I've experienced that before in terms of being on the train and somebody coming in asking for either money or donations and whatnot. And if you say no, you don't have it sometimes.
It can turn sideways. Yeah, it can turn left.
Yeah, it can turn left. And most New Yorkers tend to ignore that situation, you know, until they get off the next stop or whatever stop they get off. In this situation, Daniel Penny, who was a former Marine, did not ignore and decided to subdue Jordan Neely. And knowing that he's a Marine, and anybody knows folks in the military, especially the Marines,
Mm-hmm.
they have the ability, they're trained not only to subdue, but to also kill. Did Daniel Penny have to basically choke this man for what? They say 15 minutes. Some people say, oh, that was just a statement that was made on social media or whatnot. It might have been lesser than whatever amount of time it was, whether it was 5 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes. Did you have to, and especially knowing that you have the potential to kill someone, did you have to choke that man for that amount of time? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say if he was violent or he was, there was a potential for him to escalate, there was a potential for Jordan to escalate the situation. You could have subdued him
Right. It's still not
without choking.
warranted. Yeah.
Especially since you're a Marine, you could have subdued him without choking him.
And on top of that, wasn't two other people who intervened also?
Yeah, who I guess pinned
So it
him
wasn't warranted for
down,
you to choke him.
you know? But again, we live in a country where Black people, we're not seen as human. We live in a world where we're not seen as human. Jordan Neely, his mother was strangled and murdered back in 2007 when he was 14 years old. And the body was stuffed in a suitcase and thrown in the Hudson River by his stepfather.
Wow.
His father abandoned him as a baby. So his birth father abandoned him as a baby. And people say this is a probable cause. I won't even say probable. This is a direct cause. We know for Jordan
And
Neely's
he's seen a
mental
lot.
demise. Um, According to the grandparents, they said that after the situation, his mother's untimely death, that he was difficult to control. The aunt tried to get him help. However, there were obstacles in accessing mental health resources, and insurance was an issue as far as getting connected to psychologists and therapists. Again, we are in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. People bring up Jordan Neely's long arrest record.
Yep,
They say
that's what they
that
usually do.
right to take away from the
Just shift the narrative. Yeah.
right to shift the narrative, take away the heat from the person who killed. Supposedly, Neely had over 40 arrests, including assault of an elderly woman, and numerous harassment accusations by subway riders. And this is what happens when we do not prioritize mental health in this country. We think that people who had similar or who have similar lives to Jordan Neely, that, oh, we're just going to arrest him, take him to jail for the weekend, for the month, for 6 months, let him out, and they'll be fine. No, because what happens?
Then it falls.
Recidivism.
Yeah.
They do the same stuff over and over because they don't have the help. Because in this country, we are lacking mental health professionals. They go back to jail. Sometimes they do these things because they want to go back to jail because that's probably where they can get a
A
hot
meal and
meal
stuff over a roof over their head.
and a roof over their head and clothes on their back.
The crazy thing, the system failed them. To take care of your mental health requires money, and if you don't have money, is you're not going to be able to get help.
Right. The aunt mentioned trying to get him help numerous times, but insurance was an issue
Hmm.
because in this country, we don't care about, we don't even care about mental health. We don't care about physical health. We care about dollars. Big pharma and the medical industry care about dollars and how much money they can make. Why do you think this country spends billions of dollars, trillions of dollars on military defense spending and very little on mental health? Now, I'm not saying that Jordan Neely did not get violent or may have scared some passengers. And but you know what? I'm going to say it again. Did you have to choke it knowing that you have the ability? See, if I were a Marine and I know that I have the ability to take someone's life by suffocating them, whether through a blood choke, which can kill someone in what, or at least take them out in what, 30, 45 seconds, give or take. But for 15 minutes, people ask, does race play a role here? Oh, for sure.
Oh, facts.
That's not even the question. Because we're not seen as human. That's why they'll bring up his arrest record.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they'll bring up this. And I'm not excusing that behavior. But again, what does New York City do? Like plenty of other cities in this country do. We arrest them, take them to jail, and they do the same thing over and over instead of getting them the proper help that they need.
Well, if there's no bodies in the prisons, they're not making no money.
Let alone really keeping the subway safe, because the subway is not a safe place.
So
Most public transit in this country, in urban areas in this country, is
the
not safe.
mutants I have seen on those train stations. Child.
You can look on YouTube alone. If you're not from New York, look on
Yeah.
YouTube, and you don't even have to look at New York. I mean, any public
Any
transit system in this country is not safe. And so I can see where there's some division on the story. However, regardless if Jordan was homeless, regardless of his arrest record, he was a human being. New York City should have done a better job in getting this man assistance, because why the 30-year-old man having 40 arrests, especially now that we know his backstory? Why did you just keep on arresting him and arresting him and arresting him and arresting him, knowing that that was not a solution? Because one, mental health is not seen as a big issue. I think we're starting to wake up now. But two, oh, this is just another black man.
Mm-hmm. In their eyes, this is what they do.
That's their mindset. And I think that was the mindset that Daniel had when he came across
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Neely. And I'm going to call out, and I mentioned this before in a previous episode, how people were taking pictures and videos And
Uh,
these pictures end up on the internet of his lifeless body laying on the F train floor. No respect for the deceased, regardless of what he did in life. I'm not taking away from what his arrest record is, but we see time after time when a black man dies in this country, people love to bring up, well, he did this and he had this assault record and this. Nah, 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 nah. Daniel was taken into custody, but later released without charges, of course. Now, I don't know if involuntary manslaughter, if they do charge him, I don't know if that's going to play a role. So, y'all, I'm not going to go on and on. Unless if you have something else to add here, Jane.
you said everything.
But we must not become a nation where a mentally ill human being can be choked to death by a vigilante without consequence. We must not become a nation, which we kind of already are, where the killer is justified and cheered. Unless if he had put his hands on someone or was about to put his hands on someone
Mm-hmm.
and threaten somebody's life in a physical way for you to choke them for that amount of time, knowing your ability to kill as a trained Marine. I am the son of a Navy SEAL. I know the capabilities of my father. Man don't play. And they teach people in the military to have
To read
restraint.
people.
Well, that, but how to have restraint because they know the ability that they have. Condolences to Jordan Neely's family. There's two things I'll leave here. New York City, you need to step up when it comes to addressing the crime issue in that city because there's no reason why. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but there's no reason why people should be getting shot in broad daylight, assaulted. Oh yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Oh
Someone,
no, I
someone
see. Yeah.
someone in Brooklyn was washing their car. This was like a few months back, washing their car on a Saturday, and was shot in the head, broad daylight. Plenty of assaults in the subway. It's
Disgusting.
and mind you, I very rarely get fearful of places and people and so on because I've seen a lot. But even I have a fear of being of what could happen in that subway. So that's one. But two, instead of arresting these people, taking them in jail, and bringing them back to where they are, get them help. There's no reason why somebody should have a 40 plus arrest record and not receive assistance. Jane, we are approaching our last topic for today's very different episode because we have a mixture of laughter, a mixture of sad stories and pain. But we are inching closer to another summer. I love saying that. I think I said the same thing last year, so it tells you that we've been
Yeah.
doing this BlaqKoffee for some time. But we were having a conversation the other day, and you brought up that you asked me a question: why are Black people disproportionately unable to swim? And we say this because we know the stereotype.
Oh yeah, black people can't swim. They don't want to wet their hair. Yada yada yada. Mm-hmm.
And summer is here.
Approaching.
People want to, yeah, it's approaching. We want to go to the beach. We want to go, spend time at the pool with our friends. If you have children, your kids. And it is so important that we protect children. This is everybody, but especially for Black people, to protect our kids around the pool because we have higher rates of
Drowning.
drowning, fatal drowning for Black children. Actually, Black children are 3 times higher than white children to fatally drown. Jane, what do you have to say?
Yeah, it was just something I noticed. I would say I'm blessed that I got swimming lessons when I was younger. You
Mm.
know, when they say you,
Oh,
you
so you know how to swim.
yeah, it's a skill. It's a skill I kind of lost, but I could swim.
Mm.
Like if I ever got into that situation, I could save myself. But I feel like you said we know. I don't think you mentioned, but we know why black people are not really well swimming due to the history of like public pools. We were not allowed to be in those spaces, so we were
They
really
were
not accustomed
segregated.
to be around water.
Hmm.
But I think it's very important. People might not think it's a big deal. I think it's very important that we teach ourselves, teach our kids, put them in swimming lessons, so they could protect themselves. I see more of my friends actually teaching their kids or putting them in swim clubs to get them that basic skill of saving themselves and or also enjoying the water.
No, you said a mouthful. Um, Swimming, the ability to swim is a important life skill because you never know when you may come across a flood or you might have to save someone, whether it's your family, your kids, your friends, your relatives, or just a stranger. You never know when you need that ability to swim.
Mm-hmm.
And you are absolutely correct that one of the reasons why the stereotype came about of black people can't swim and that we're, disproportionately and statistically at a disadvantage when it comes to swimming is because historically speaking, black people, we had, well, in society there were public pools and neighborhoods, but because of segregation, we weren't allowed to swim, and that was seen as like swimming was like having a pool in your backyard.
Luxury.
That was seen as a luxury. And black people, we typically haven't had luxuries in this country, historically speaking, years and decades ago. And so, um, this was just a sport or an area that we did not become well versed in. And not even just here in America. Look at that story in South Africa. Was it earlier this year or late last year when there's actually still pools segregated
Oh, that was last year in South Africa.
South
Yep.
Africa where that fight happened at, it was supposedly a white only pool, which is interesting. How are you going to have a white only pool in South
In
Africa?
Africa, South
Now we know
Africa.
the history of apartheid, but just the you go to South Africa and meet the black natives there and then tell them
You're not
they
welcome.
can't swim in a pool in the region that they're native to. Very sick mindset. So again, um, it's not because we are weak in swimming. That's not the case. It's not. It's something that because of limitations in access,
Mm-hmm.
we have over time not developed this very important skill. And so we need to start encouraging one another to go get swimming lessons.
Even at your big age, it's okay. Don't feel ashamed. Go teach yourself how to swim. Take a swim class.
Seriously. I am in my mid 20s. I'm not gonna say my age.
Child.
Like, oh, you that age and you can't swim? No, I was taught how to swim as a kid, but over time, I don't know if I forgot or just because you don't
If you don't
practice,
use it, like I said,
you
it's a
don't
skill. If you
use
don't
it,
use it, you
right?
lose it.
And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really right. If you don't use it, you lose it. And I wasn't someone who really went to pools a lot, and so now I'm actually going to brush up on my swimming skills because you just never know when something happens. Or even I mean, it's actually a good exercise.
Oh
Swimming is a
yeah.
very good exercise, especially for your lungs, for your upper body strength.
Especially
Um,
if you got knee problems, easy on the knees.
And so, please, everybody, but especially Black people, um, teach your children from an early age to swim. I've seen like swimming classes for even babies. I think babies naturally
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to swim because they're in the womb.
I was like, they've been
Uh,
swimming.
it kind of scared me because
I would say how they just be tossing.
they
I'm
just
like,
dropped them in the water, and I was like, "Ooh, like that." That seems that's tough right there. But they're doing it at an early age so they become accustomed to it as they grow. And every day, I'm just gonna put the statistic out there. Every day there are 10 accidental drownings, which equate to about 3,500 per year in this country. 3,500 drownings, accidental. And so, remember how late last year, I think in November, DeVito's son
drown.
drowned in a pool at his home, not at the beach, not at the river, at his own home. Which, by the way, even if kids know how to swim, you still got to be watchful
Yeah.
when they're around water. And wasn't recently a football player.
Yeah,
I don't
NFL
recall
player. I
his
don't know
name.
his
NFL
name.
player.
My
Yeah,
apologies if you got the name, but yeah, his child lost their life due to drowning.
right. So I know black people love to joke and say, "Oh, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans are the only blacks who know how to swim. They're just black people who know how to swim because they in the Caribbean." But honestly, we need to break that stereotype. We need to break that ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
and not even just kids, grown adults, men, women, old. Even if you are disabled and if you have the ability to swim, that is important for that demographic as well, because we don't want to see more kids
Yeah.
accidentally drowning at 2 and 3 and 5 and 10 years old, and it's if you could prevent it, we must.
Yeah, let's keep an extra watchful eyes on the children
Mhm.
out this spring and summer season.
Well, that's all that I have on the burner. You have
Mm-hmm.
anything else on the burner, Jane?
I'm just gonna wrap it up. Health is wealth. It be your
Health is
own
wealth.
people. Dream
Hmm.
big. And this is
And
Black Coffee.
this is BlaqKoffee, y'all. Before we end today, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this content. Tell us how we're doing. Critique us. If you want to share your thoughts on the subjects that we've discussed today, please go ahead and do so. We love these discussions. And again, this season, I mean, the entire podcast is about educating, a little bit of entertainment, but education and so on. But we love to engage in dialogue. So um, we want to continue bringing you informative content. So support us, like us, share this information. I'm gonna rub my bald head because I want some more subscribers and everything. Uh, but yes, we'll see y'all next time. We love y'all and stay safe.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh baby, so free, make you no give me better.